The moments that make champions. We are getting ready to go racing in just 2 minutes time. They're going to send the bikes off on the warm-up lap. Here's a look at the grid. Cameron Beaubier in position number 1, followed by Tony Elias and Josh Hayes rounding out row number 1.
Yeah, next on the second row, we got Roger Hayden, Josh Herron, our fastest Superstock qualifier, but real close proximity, Bobby Fong. Sheridan Marias in row 3. I know him a little bit from World Endurance, Greg. Danny Eslick, of course, back there. He's made some changes to his bike. And Taylor Knapp, who's done an outstanding job this weekend to be qualified 9th.
A mixture of Superbike and Superstock. There's Jake Gagne, struggled on row number 4. We thought he would be better. Claudio Corti has made wholesale changes to his motorcycle this morning. He's got a different bike from yesterday. Jeff May rounding out row number 4.
Hayden Gillum, Kyle Wyman, and David Anthony. On row 6 here, we got Thomas Puerta, who's riding the BMW that Steve Rapp had ridden at COTA. We got Chris Ulrich back in row 6 along with Barrett Long.
And there's your first 6 rows. And now filling out the rest of the grid, you can see a host of Americans with Darren James, the Canadian, stuck right there in the middle of row number 8. A lot of these riders getting an opportunity to come in after Super Pole number 1 and 2. Right here on beIN Sports yesterday if you missed it. So they take the bottom half of the field. The top 10 get to go into Super Pole 2. Super Pole 1, they fight for those top 2 positions to transfer into Super Pole 2, and that is what sets our grid. This is fun times right here, Jason.
It's great. This is when the butterflies are gone. You've done your homework. Yep. You're hoping everything's going to be great. But last time we were here last year, it was a deluge. It was a downpour. The weather could not be any more perfect today. It's obviously bright, abundant sunshine. It's not hot, so the bikes are going to run really, really well. It's probably on the cooler side, if anything else. And we've got that little bit of breeze, but it's not as blustery as yesterday. Yesterday was really kind of blowing these guys around a little bit. So we just couldn't ask for a better day.
Tony Elias, 24 in the middle part of your screen. Behind him, 95. And there goes Josh Hayes, who always likes to be leading the way. And
I'm going to say something about Josh real fast. There was definitely a different attitude that I saw in Josh on the podium at COTA. He wasn't happy, and I'm fortunate enough to be able to talk to him a fair bit. He wasn't happy to lose by 16 or 17 seconds. You got to remember, it's been a long, long time since that has happened. And I think the whole Yamaha team is as incredibly successful as they have been over the last 4 years. There was a little dose of reality for everybody there, and they've come back and ready to go today.
Christy, you have more on Josh?
Yeah, Greg, just caught up with the guys from Dunlop. It looks like the Yoshimura Suzuki team has chosen both a soft front and a soft rear. Cameron Beaubier made the same choice as well, but Josh Hayes, the only Superbike to make a medium front and soft rear choice. Wonder how that'll play out later out in the race for him. Guys?
Well, it's definitely something that we can look at, Christy, because we'll just have to look at tire wear. And that's the neat thing about having 2 races, because they're going to go do this race. They're going to have a good time in between to look at their bikes, make any changes they want to make. And one of the biggest things we're going to do is look at tire wear. So we're going to be able to know more as this race plays out. And we'll be able to see if Josh can stay with these guys early. If he can stay with them early, he's found a setup that's going to work on a little bit harder tire.
You're watching the warm-up lap as we get ready to get race 1 underway. So Josh Hayes, our first rider down the hill to get good heat in his tire. And they will be gritting their motorcycles up right now. And then the red lights are going to go on. And when they go off, it's time to drop the clutch and shoot off to turn number 1. There's a good look at number 1 Cam Beaubier, our pole sitter, after what can be deemed a disastrous weekend in COTA for the young California rider. Really getting his stuff dialed back in. Not an easy feat. Just 6 days ago, the disaster. So you can see riders coming down the hill. Josh Hayes taking a tear off, throwing it out of the way. The first of our Superstock riders is back there, number 2, Josh Herron. But here it is, the championship points leader, who just 4 weeks ago was sitting on a couch. Tony Elias in middle position in row number 1 on the 24. It looks like all riders are in place right now. Each row has a marshal, and they'll signal to make sure that everyone is squared away and ready to go. So here we go. Watch the upper left part of your screen. The red lights are going to go on, and once they go out, race number 1 of the MotoAmerica Superbike Shootout from Georgia gets underway.
Who's going to get up to that important turn 2, 3, 4 section first, Greg? It looks right now Tony Elias has got a great jump on the field.
Josh Hayes trying the inside move, but sweeping around the outside is Tony Elias, who has that lead. And it looks like Cameron Beaubier will slot in behind his teammate.
I think it's Josh Hayes. Yeah, Josh Hayes just went up around the outside of him a little bit going into turn 2, Greg, and now straight down this big steep hill. Josh is already getting aggressive. Tony had a little bit of a moment there.
Yeah, so did Cameron Beaubier coming out of that section. The rear end went sideways back there in 3rd spot. Everyone searching for traction early on. The tires do get a warm-up, but they don't come up to full temperature until at least halfway around this lap.
And this is what Josh Hayes does. He wants to attack. He wants to lead. He never likes sitting behind anybody. So we're going to get a good chance right now to see what this Yoshimura and Yamaha's, how they compare against each other as they head onto this big back straightaway. I'm assuming that Josh is probably going to be able to draft by Tony somewhere on the right-hand side, maybe just before they get to the crest of the hill. Although right now that Suzuki looks like it's got some legs, Greg.
Wow, so Tony Elias around the outside, though, is coming under fire from Josh Hayes. Hayes has the inside line into turn 10A. So Hayes puts the nose of his Yamaha in front and leads. And wow, riders going wide all over the place. Here we come, up and over the hill. Is Elias going to fight back in turn 12?
Straight back down this big hill. The Superbikes are going to go back to first gear. It's very slow. They made this section a little safer for the motorcycles. Josh Hayes is going to lead the first lap that he's led this year.
So Josh Hayes on the 4, 24, Tony Elias, number 1, Cameron Beaubier, and number 95 is Roger Hayden right back there. So it's Yamaha, Suzuki in that order as these 4 Superbikes stream up through turn number 2 and 3.
These are the 4 that we figure we're probably going to just pull away a little bit. You can see they've already done that back to 5th place. Sheridan Mariah is leading on the Superstock bike, but as these guys come streaming down this hill, now they're going to be in a feel-out period. They've got 21 laps to go. You can see Josh is starting to just pull a little bit of a gap. These guys aren't going to be that worried about it just right now. And, you know, you'll see probably Cameron try to do something with Tony. But now we're going to get to see what Raj is going to do. How's Raj going to respond to this? He's had a week to think about what happened at Coda, and I think that we're going to see Roger Lee make his move here pretty soon also.
86 Sheridan Marias there leading the way on the Superstock machine. You can tell the difference. The number plates give you the indication. You can see on Josh Hayes' Superbike, it's a white backing with a black number 4. On those Superstock machines, it's red backing with white numbers. So you can see the battles going on right there.
Cameron Beaubier sneaks up the inside of Tony Elias as they come down into that turn 9 section. Now we got a factory Yamaha 1-2. We're going to be able to see if those Yoshimura Suzukis can stick there with them now. You see the bike, Greg, under acceleration up that big steep hill, getting that little tank slapper. That's just a product of the way the track is in that particular area. You're coming from a very low gear, just like they've just come out of there in first gear and just out of that last turn.
Josh Hayes coming under fire from Cameron Beaubier. Beaubier had to look up the inside, didn't make a move. Road Atlanta, not the easiest place to pass in the world.
Very difficult. It's very difficult place. There's about 2 or 3 distinct places that you can see. And you can see the bikes, how much they're moving around. That's because of the undulation of the actual racetrack. There's always going to be stresses on the chassis all the way at any racetrack. But this place in particular doesn't have a lot of flat areas. This is all straight downhill and fast.
Oh, it looks like Darren James, Canadian rider who is qualified back there on the 7th row. It looks like he had a big problem and he's crashed. And looks like we have a look, Jason.
Yeah, you get into this last turn, turn 10 at the end of the back straightaway, and he just got on the front brakes a little bit too hard, lost the front, went through the gravel. Boy, glad to see he's up and okay from that. But what can happen is you can get the draft of somebody back there, get in there a little bit faster than you like, and it's really easy to do that. 2 Yamaha boys are still stomping their authority at the front.
Josh Hayes continues to lead the way. We're working lap number 3 of this race. And it looks like number 1, Cameron Beaubier can't do it. Look, though, how quickly the 24 closes the gap on those Yamahas.
When you have a carrot in front of you like they do, he realizes that, you know, you're going to brake just a little bit later. You're going to accelerate maybe a little bit sooner. But Tony's sitting back there. The one thing I did notice with his bike, if you saw it, there was a little bit of chatter there. So we'll see how that plays out as the race wears on also.
4 Superbikes leading the way, eking away from the Superstock machines as Josh Hayes continues to lead on that Monster Energy Graves Yamaha, just ahead of his teammate Cameron Beaubier and the number 1 plate. A look on from Davy Jones from the crew. Yoshimura Suzuki crew just following the race action just like we are. Once you're out on that motorcycle, your crew has got nothing to do with it at this point. Their job is done, and they just hold their breath for 22 laps.
Yeah, and I went over and watched the specific section of the track that they just went through there, and Josh was in my eyes, he held a real tight line as they came through the 2, 3, 4 area, and it just looked so fast all weekend. It looks like all these guys are just kind of, they're rolling right behind him through that area also.
Interesting to note, last time around, 25.9, 25.9, 25.9, but this rider right here, 25.763. So it's Roger Hayden, the 95 on the charge right now. Not trying to latch onto the back, but I think Roger wants to close the gap and start making some moves himself.
Well, of course, yeah, he wants to get up there. He's not going to let these guys go. He realizes that there's a lot of time left. And again, right now, nobody's really able to do anything with Josh down that back straightaway as far as drafting him, which tells me that he's getting out of turn 7 really well. This is that big steep uphill, up through the bridge, down into this last corner.
Number 4 Hayes, number 1 Beaubier, 24. Tony Elias, your championship points leader, fill-in rider, was really set to fill in just for these 2 races for Jake Lewis, but Jake Lewis doesn't look like he's going to be able to come back necessarily for our round in 2 weeks' time at New Jersey. So I'm sure a lot of conversation going on after this race to find out what lies ahead for Tony Elias here at MotoAmerica Championship. He looks so smooth on that bike. He's a very small statured rider, so able to launch that Suzuki off the corners. Tony Elias right behind Roger Hayden.
Seems like the Yamahas pull away just a little bit in the first half of the lap here, like the first quarter of the lap. Our section from the start-finish line to this area, just over turn 5, is sector 1 here at Road Atlanta. These 2 guys just seem to pull away from the Suzukis just a little bit through that section. It might just be the bike's a little bit more nimble. Their setups obviously could be maybe a little bit better, but then the Yosh bikes seem to pull through in 6, 7, and then towards the end of the lap they really seem to shine. And it looks like Raj is actually getting a little bit closer to his teammate. He might be a little bit too far back to get that draft this particular lap, but if he gets a little bit closer next lap, I would suspect to see him do something with Tony maybe down here at the end of the back straightaway.
Tony Elias back in turn number 5, had a bit of a miscue and lost some ground. Now trying to reel it all back in on brakes in 10A, 10B section. As a good look at Josh Hayes as he goes under the bridge, comes out from turn 11 and down the hill into the hard braking turn number 12. Roger Hayden, he's just right there, still keeping a nice tight group.
Yeah, these guys are in the 25.7 range now. For some perspective on that, Josh Hayes qualified at a 25.1 on a qualifying tire. So this is a very fast lap. Sheridan Marias just ahead of Josh Herron and Jake Gagne. You saw it just out of our shot there. This is the battle for the Superstock class. Now, Jake Gagne is on a Superbike, but these first 2 guys here, they're battling out for Superstock. And right behind them, Bobby Fong and Taylor Knapp, just all in very close proximity. So we got a great battle for the Superbikes up front. We got an even big battle here for Superstock also.
So the way this works is right now, number 86, Sheridan Marias, is leading the Superstock race. They have their own podium. Oh, and up the inside goes 95. Roger Hayden on his teammate Tony Elias. So Elias looks like he's struggling a little bit. Roger Hayden having to make quick work and go after these Yamahas. So when push came to shove, Roger Hayden on the 95 gets by Tony Elias, and now he's lost the draft. He's got to do it all on his own, as now Cameron Beaubier leads the way from Josh Hayes. Side by side they go into turn number 10. Beaubier the advantage, but Hayes has the tip in. No, it's got to be Cameron.
Yeah, and if you noticed coming out of turn 7, I had made mention the lap before that Josh must be getting out of there real well. Well, he didn't that particular lap. He got bucked up out of the seat, and that allowed Cameron to get up alongside of him going down that back straightaway. Now, I'm expecting to see a fast lap from Roger Hayden. If not this lap, even though he ran the fastest lap of the race last lap, let's see what he did this one. No, this one's 26.9, but he's going to try to reel those Yamahas in, and it doesn't look like Tony's able to kind of go with them right now.
So Cameron Beaubier leading the way from Josh Hayes. Now Cameron's got the point. What's Hayes going to be able to do? Was Hayes holding up Cameron Beaubier? Boy, it looks like Cam right now is getting through this section well.
This is where I was going just now before all the action started. Josh was about 0.6 off of his qualifying time, but Cameron Beaubier was almost a second off of his qualifying time. And what you're going to see now is the difference in these tires. If Josh can stay with him on these mediums, then I think it's going to be more trouble for Cameron at the end of the race. But we're going to see how tire wear goes. As of now, Josh doesn't seem to have any problem staying with Cameron. And I guarantee you, he does not want to be in that position. He wants to be the guy who's dictating this race. But that big 95 right behind them both, he's on a fast lap right here. He's closed that gap down even more.
So number 1, Cameron Beaubier leading number 4, Josh Hayes and Roger Hayden, who has closed that gap after Tony Elias got a little bit of distance and made a couple little tiny mistakes. So now Roger Hayden is latching onto the back of this battle, dragging Tony Elias up, the championship points leader. Man, it could look totally different when this one's completely finished.
And he is dragging him along, because I'm looking at our screen also, Greg, where we can look at some lap times and things. And Tony's not done yet. He's on a fast one himself right now. Let's look at these lap times as they come across. Tony just did his best lap so far of the race, but Cameron Beaubier is in a high 25. Josh is 26 flat, and Raj is right there at 25.8. So Cameron is just showing that the pace that looked like Josh had set earlier is kind of around still the same pace that they're running.
Cameron Beaubier, your pole sitter, the only rider in the 24.84 to qualify. Did that on the Dunlop qualifying tire. They get one of those, and that thing is soft and sticky, and you can twist the grip as hard as you like. But now we're in a race situation where we have race tires and management, and here comes Josh Hayes. Is he going to fight back? Oh, man, it looked really close. Josh definitely wants Cameron to know that he's right there.
He's going to fight back. We know that. But Josh's bike looks like it handles tremendously well through the last part of those S's. And there's Cameron Beaubier getting dropped up out of the seat just a little. Let's see if that ruins his drive at all and allows Josh to pull up alongside him, not unlike what Cameron did to him 2 laps ago. You can see Josh going to poke out down the inside in turn 9 there. It's very tight and fast down through there.
So Cameron Beaubier holds off Josh Hayes. Hayes closing up on the brakes. Right there's Roger Hayden. Now Tony Elias is right back on his teammate as a little bit of gap coming out of turn number 10B. The Yoshimura Suzuki's got to hang on because the lap times are fast. When they come across start finish line, we'll get to see one more time what Beaubier is able to do while he's leading.
Yeah, it looks like the lap times are just starting to get now dipping into the 26s, and that's going to be some of the fight that these guys are putting towards each other. They're allowing Tony Elias, and we're going to drop back. It looks like Jake Gagne has got by those Superstock bikes. He's got himself back up into 5th place overall. Now, he's been struggling this weekend.
Yep.
We saw him in qualifying 1, which I think that was kind of the surprise of the weekend. So I want to really pay attention to his bike and see how it looks. Now we go back to Josh Herron, who now has the Superstock lead, followed closely by Bobby Fong, Taylor Knapp, and Sheridan Mariah. So Sheridan, last time we saw, he was leading the Superstock battle. He's back in 4th now. Just 2 laps later as we go back to the battle at the front for Superbike.
2 tremendous battles going on, both for race wins in their respective classes. This is the number 1 battle on the racetrack because you have a couple things going on. The fight for Superbike, the fight for Superstock, and of course, where you place overall. This rider right here, number 1, is hoping to win another one.
Yeah, they all got out of that turn really strong that time. And it looks like Tony just is getting dropped again a little bit. And I think that where he's getting dropped the most is that first sector that we talked about earlier, from the top of that hill down through those S's. And when we get back to these S's here in a second, I want everybody at home to pay attention to how Josh can kind of, towards the end of those S's, turn 4s, turn 5s, he's able to carve a little bit tighter line on the exit at turn 5 than Cameron is right now. And you can really see him pull that gap closer.
Well, when these riders get up through turn 1 and top of turn 2 and 3, talk about how difficult it is, the one line, to be able to see if you're the second rider behind, to be able to see the marks where you're going to hit.
Well, all these guys, when you get going this fast, the line that you ride on now is going to become a lot narrower. So all these guys are going to be on very similar lines, only because of the speed that they're all going. This is where I'm talking about. They're going to come down this hill. This is a 3rd gear fast right-hander. Now right here, you're wide open throttle. Now I want you to see how Josh just kind of pulls up on him a little bit here. He can enter a little bit tighter, and he can also exit just a little bit tighter than Cam, and he's able to pull up almost alongside of him down this straightaway. They're going to go up 2 gears there, Greg, back down to 2nd for this corner right here, and then they're going to get on the binders hard for turn 7. And this is where you're going to start to see tires go off, if they start going off at all, as they exit turn 7.
13 laps remaining in this Superbike race number 1. It's the MotoAmerica Championship Suzuki Superbike Shootout of Georgia. You're watching number 1, Cameron Beaubier, Monster Energy Graves Yamaha, followed by his teammate, number 4, Josh Hayes. Right behind him, number 95, is Roger Hayden. That's Yoshimura Suzuki, and his teammate, 24, Tony Elias. Off in the distance, Jake Gagne on the 32. That's your 5 top Superbike riders right now as this battle up front continues to rage.
Yeah, and I feel like Tony he has sat back there. He's probably learned a little bit just hanging out back there with those guys and seeing these 3 battle up in front of him. We're looking for, you see Tony kind of disappears on the right-hand side of the screen there. gets back into line.
One moment, though. One moment, my heart skipped the beat. I was like, where's Tony? And then he came right back into the screen. So, yeah, just a different line choice and a beautiful shot. Nice and tight, as is this one. Oh, look at Beaubier. So Beaubier on the gas. He just went lock to lock on that one.
Yeah, and that's the kind of thing that happens up there. And that's where Josh, when I was up there the other day, like I said, his bike just looks so clean. And looks so tidy up through there. And everybody else just ran a little bit wider line, which meant more lean angle to me. And that means when they're going downhill with more lean angle, you're getting on that smaller part of the tire. And that's where you could run into some of those issues. And we're going to have another look at it here. They come out of this tight right. This is a little right-left. You come through this right, and you're going to see the front wheel. That's actually just through so much grip. The front end's getting a little loose, and he's trying to make a direction change. And that's when you saw a little bit of air under that front tire.
So no harm, no foul for Cam Beaubier. Probably something that he's completely forgotten about, and we're still talking about it. Down the long, fast, back straightaway, down the hill into turn 10A, and then the transition to 10B and up over the hill. This is what makes Road Atlanta so spectacular to watch. All these up and downs, a racetrack, a natural road course built in 1969, and we're still racing today. It may look wide from our cameras, but when you're on that motorcycle racing, it's a pretty narrow racetrack. As Beaubier with the front wheel in the air comes across the line at a 26.2. Pretty much everyone's just following Cameron's lead at this point.
And the lap times right now are a little bit inconsistent. We're going to go back here to Jake Gagne running 5th. And here's our battle for 6th. All 3 of these guys are leading in the Superstock class. Josh Herron, obviously 1st place, Taylor Knapp, and then Bobby Fong, who won our first 2 rounds pretty dominantly at COTA. And if you look right back, you can see Claudio Corti in the background.
Let's go to Christy.
Yeah, Josh Herron, even though this is considered his home track, he's from Dublin, Georgia. It's less than 3 hours away. When I spoke with him earlier, he said this is actually one of his least favorite tracks. He's only won 1 AMA race here back in 2005. Not found a lot of success here, but his goal today was to kind of get out front and try to catch a draft off the Superbikes. Hopefully he can work a little bit harder during this race and maybe in race number 2. Guys?
Cool, very good point. You know, just because it's your home track doesn't mean it's your best track.
Yeah, I had a little love-hate with Laguna Seca, and a lot of people considered that my home track, but I never won there either, so I can feel what Josh is saying. I'll tell you the guy I'm impressed with, Taylor Knapp. What an incredible job he is doing right now, running there in 2nd, right behind that Mean Motorsports, Josh Herron. And you can see Bobby Fong is deep in Taylor Knapp's draft right now. But that guy coming up behind him, Claudio Corti on that Aprilia, he's running hard. And he's another guy that says he likes his place. And we can see Taylor's got a little bit of a unique riding style. And it's something we all...
He's very tall.
He's very tall guy.
Yeah.
He dangles the other leg off the bike. So we're going to look back up front here at these Superbike guys. And you can see they've got about a 10-second lead on our Superstock bikes right now.
Looks like Cameron Beaubier is starting to put a little bit of daylight between himself and Josh Hayes as they work this section of the racetrack heading down towards the famous S's. But, I mean, you know, Josh has been closer. Let's see how it closes up in turn 5.
This is where Josh is good, though. This is where, you know, he's going to draw right back up on the back of Cameron. And, you know, sometimes as races go and wear down, you're going to see all these guys do things pretty much the exact same way. But there's going to be places where one guy's a little bit better than the other. And right now, Josh is right back on the rear wheel. I'm just curious to know, you know, I think I know Josh well enough to, if he can get by Cameron, he's going to. And so far, going down the end of this back straightaway, he hasn't been able to get close enough. And that could be something as simple as his bike's moving around, a little bit harder tire, and Cameron's bike is not moving around hardly at all as he exits that turn.
Out of turn number 7, back in the distance to 95 of Roger Hayden. His motorcycle came sideways as now Tony Elias, strong under braking in turn 10A, takes the point from Roger Hayden. No! And it looks like rider down, both riders.
Oh, man.
Wow, is that Josh Hayes and
Cameron Beaubier?
Cameron Beaubier. Wow!
Oh,
both
man.
riders down as Hayes looks like he took a big hit as Beaubier trying to get his motorcycle back up and started.
Oh, man. I saw Tony Elias checking up, and I thought, well, one of them's down. It's both of them. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe Cameron lost the rear and Josh just happened to be there right behind him. So they're going through turn 10 here. Now they're going into turn 10B. And Josh just somehow got himself just to the inside of Cameron. That is really unusual to see something like that happen. Josh just got himself in that little gray area, that bad spot, and that's, you can see Josh, he's going to go over to Cameron and apologize to him. I don't really know exactly what happened there, but I can tell you right now, both these guys feel bad. And I know Josh Hayes well enough. He's not that kind of guy, that kind of rider. But they're trying to get those guys moved now. Yeah. We're going to see the battle that we talked about at the top of the show, and we're going to see what happens.
Unbelievable luck for the Yoshimura Suzuki crew, as it looks like Suzuki was just a couple of ticks off being able to stay with the Yamahas, as the battle now goes to Tony Elias and Roger Hayden. I'll tell you what, this is Roger Hayden's moment. Roger Hayden has been the rider for Yoshimura Suzuki. There's 9 laps to go. He's been fighting with his fill-in teammate rider, the 24 of Tony Elias. Tony Elias showed him up at COTA. Now, keep in mind that Tony Elias had track time at COTA. So did Roger Hayden. But this is Roger Hayden's moment. And look at Josh Hayes now trying to get the #1 going, leaves his motorcycle and tries to help his teammate. Don't forget, we have race 2 coming up later today, so that Monster Energy Graves Yamaha team is going to get another go at it, as Josh Hayes trying to help out his
teammate get his bike started.
Dude.
That's what he's trying to do. He's actually trying to get his bike started. Now look, Jake Gagne finds himself after a really tough weekend in 3rd place.
Let's reset the order for you. It's Roger Hayden leading from Tony Elias. Now Jake Gagne in 3rd spot. Then there's Josh Herron, Bobby Fong, Taylor Knapp, Claudio Corti in 7th, Sheridan Marias in 8th, Hayden Gillum in 9th, and Kyle Wyman in 10th spot, with Jeff May, the local rider, just back in 11th. And now look at Roger. He looks like he's got his head down.
He does, and I want to look at lap times now. I would love to see Raj just start dipping back down into those low 26s on his own, because I know he's capable of it. These two guys are still talking. Hopefully they'll buy each other dinner later on, but you know, Josh, I know, feels horrible. Both these guys, they play golf together, they do things together. They're not teammates that dislike each other. But let's get back to this. I want to see if these lap times start dropping back down. Tony's back in Raj's draft. He's already shown Raj once that he can go by him going into turn 10. So I want to see if Raj can protect that a little bit. Raj is in deep here. But
he looks more aggressive, Jason.
He does.
Roger looks more aggressive now in 10A. Now that he's got nothing but clear track in front of him, Roger Hayden, he really wants to show everyone that he is the rider at Yoshimura Suzuki. And Tony Elias has been pushing him. And I know that Roger Hayden said right here on the pre-show that it's about team, it's about Yoshimura Suzuki. But Jason, you and I know a little differently than that. It's not just about team.
No, you definitely want to beat your teammate, as we always seem to address. And look back at Jake Gagne. But getting back to those two guys, you know, the thing is it looks like Tony's kind of hanging out. We get back to the Superstock battle now. And Claudio Corti has joined the party, as we kind of had seen and thought it might happen. This is a 4-way battle for the lead. Yes, they are fighting for 4th, 5th, and 6th, 7th on the track, but this is a battle for the lead in the Superstock class.
Claudio Corti, the 4th rider in that frame, on the number 71. That's an Aprilia. Claudio Corti, 28 years old, from Como, Italy. And after his performance in the battle that we saw right here on BN Sports last week at COTA, Aprilia in Italy called up that team and said, we want to provide more help for you, more technical support. So the team's been downloading data over the internet to Italy all weekend. We expect to see someone from Italy, as Corti makes a move under braking and goes by Bobby Fong to take over the position. Boy, if this Aprilia is working this good right now, I can't wait to see until someone from Aprilia Italy comes over in 2 weeks' time in New Jersey. This is going to be a spectacular season for Claudio Corti and the Aprilia HSBK racing team.
And it's awesome for the series to have 3 different brands battling this hard up at the front. And you can see just off in the distance there, Sheridan Marias has lost the toe. But look at Corti. He's going to outbreak all these guys going down into turn 10.
They're so close. Look at that. And it looks like Taylor Knapp just had to roll off of it ever so slightly. Josh Herron taking a different line, as now Herron sneaks underneath going over the hill. So Taylor Knapp loses a couple positions, as Corti, being that close, takes over the spot. And that is for 5th position. And I'll tell you what, we saw an Aprilia that didn't have a lot of speed at COTA. It looks like they're solving some of those issues.
And not only that, he has caught these guys from a long way back. So there's got to be some specific area on this track where he is significantly faster. You can see Josh Herron trying to get around the outside. It goes around the outside of him.
That's a little how you doing there, buddy. A little knee action, might be a little bit of rubbing. Herron not scared to do that. So now the number 2 takes point. This is the lead in the Superstock 1000 battle on the racetrack. Local rider Josh Herron on that Mean Motorsports wheelsinmotion.com machine. A Yamaha-only dealership based out of California, putting that effort in. Now here's the battle back up front. 95, Roger Hayden. Number 24, Tony Elias. 26-7s for both riders. Last time around, we can see the accordion effect, the seesaw battle, as Hayden really is committed to diving deep into turn 10A and 10B as he goes around and up over the hill. That's going to be the thing on his mind as the laps start to wind down here with only 6 to go. When they come across the line, it'll be 5 remaining in the Superbike Race 1 here at Road Atlanta.
My curiosity is going to be, when is Tony going to make his big challenge? Will he wait to the last lap? It looks like Raj is diving down into turn 10. Very, very strong right now and keeping it more mid-track before he starts to wander back over to the right for the bottom of the hill. I hope that he doesn't open the door too much at the bottom of that and that Elias just be able to ride right through. All through here, Raj just looks so solid. You can see him pulling away just a little bit through there.
Back up front in the Superstock battle, this is for 5th spot, and it's number 2 Heron and number 71 Claudio Corti. And right behind him, you have Bobby Fong going side by side. How about that pass for the spot? Wow.
He saw Heron do it the lap before, and Bobby Fong, like we said earlier, he's brand new to this Kawasaki ZX-10, and he just took to it so well at COTA, and he saw Heron maybe with the idea of getting away a little bit, and now he's just decided to take the challenge to himself and go after Heron also.
This is the battle for 4th, of course, but the overall battle for the Superstock 1000. So right now, your podium for Superstock 1000 would be Heron, Fong, and Claudio Corti. Oh, and now looks like Roger Hayden is starting to put a little distance between himself and his teammate. Well, that looks like it for the moment, but Tony Elias is so incredibly strong on the brakes heading down the hill into 10.
It's just that carrot effect. When he sees Raj grab the brakes, he's going to grab just a little bit later. But Raj is pushing the pace. We're at a mid-26 pace right now, so that is still a very fast. And we look at Earl Hayden. I love him.
On the right side of that red hat.
Got to see him yesterday, and Earl's doing great. But I guarantee you, he wants to see his son win this race probably more than anything right now.
Psychologically, this would be a huge battle for Roger Hayden and this team as well. This is number 32, Jake Gagne out of San Diego, California on the Broaster Chicken Road Race Factory Yamaha R1. That effort helped support by Yamaha, as Yamaha has their eyes on the young Gagne for the future. Good look at Taylor Knapp, easy to distinguish on the racetrack, the tall, lanky rider from Michigan. And that effort, of course, is a fantastic effort for Taylor Knapp and his team. That's the MotoEverything.com entry. But look at Josh Heron. He just doesn't seem like he wants anything to do with anything but first place in this race.
And these two guys, they've raced 600s against each other. They're both very aggressive guys.
Heron and Fong.
Yeah, they're both guys that are going to be going after this thing, and they're going to be going after each other. And we will see something happen in turn 10 on the last lap between this 4 guys here, but especially I think between.
Here we go, back up front, Tony Elias in the strong part of the racetrack. He goes side by side with Hayden, and he takes over the spot. So now Tony Elias leads the way as they're coming up on lap traffic. You can see some riders getting out of the way. So now it's all to Roger Hayden on what he's going to do. Can Tony Elias hold it together coming onto the front straightaway? This will be 3 laps to go.
This is what we're curious to see. That lap there, 26.3. Tony Elias just dropped the hammer a little bit more.
Yep.
They're going to maybe get some back markers in a really bad spot here if the back markers don't see the blue flags. And he did. They moved over because this is the spot where it's really one-lined. And if you catch him in here, it can really slow you down a lot. So we can see, oh, Tony runs over the inside curbing a lot there. Turned in a little bit early as he's headed down the hill now. And it looks like we still got a couple more guys that they're going to have to kind of get through. And you got to remember, Tony Elias hasn't seen back markers in a lot of years, racing over MotoGP, Moto2. They generally don't see back markers very often. So he's coming up on Thomas Puerta, who had a ride-through penalty earlier on for a jump start. So that's why we see Tommy a little bit further back today, just for that reason. But he's probably going to see these guys, know that they're coming. You'll probably see him move over as you do here. So can Raj fight back here and do anything right now to try to go run with his teammate?
The whole way down this straightaway, throttle's wide open, and they're just clicking through the gears as Roger Hayden is trying to find the draft of Tony Elias. Now, is Elias as strong down in this braking section without a benchmark? And it looks like he's pretty good, but Roger was able to close up ever so slightly. But man, I'm going to tell you, it looks like Tony Elias has things in his favor right now. Roger Hayden has got to dig deep into his toolbox and pull out something that's going to claw him right back into a position to get into the lead, as we only have 2 laps remaining in this race.
You know, Tony looked back, had a little shake of his head. He knows that he's pulling Raj along, but that lap was 26.4 to 26.5. Granted, a little bit of back markers. You see that big, long black strip that he just left going out of turn one, Greg?
Yeah.
They are pushing hard. Looks like Gagne had a little problem getting his bike shifted coming out on this front straightaway, but he's running a very, very comfortable 3rd place right now.
16 seconds behind, another 4 seconds behind him. This battle for Superstock 1000, it has shuffled yet again as Heron now from Claudio Corti on that 71, and there's Fong in those black leathers, and back up front we go. There are 2 fantastic races going on right here. One thing is, well, Yoshimura Suzuki certainly hopes that one thing's for certain, and that's that 2 Suzukis are going to be on the podium. But with laps winding down, with corners winding down, we saw what happened to the Graves Yamaha team of Josh Hayes and Cameron Beaubier. Anything can happen in these tight corners unless Tony Elias can keep this distance between himself and Roger Hayden.
And there's a huge group up in front of them. It looks like there's about 3 or 4 guys, and this is where the blue flags start to not come into play because these guys are racing against each other. Tony's so good down at the end of the back straightaway as they get ready to come up over the top of the hill. They're going to see the white flag this time, and you can see he's pulled the gap just a little bit more on Raj.
Tony Elias with the hammer down right now. Roger Hayden has got to do something as Elias looks over his shoulder and sees a further gap. Couple lap riders in. This is the final lap. The white flag is out. Tony Elias in control right now after a disaster for the Monster Energy Graves Yamaha team. The reigning #1 hit from behind. His teammate took him out, and now it left it all to Suzuki. Roger Hayden trying everything he can to close up. He's all over the racetrack.
Oh my gosh, is he pushing? He knows he has to be on the back of Tony as they come out of turn 7. Let's see if he can pull up on him here going into turn 5. This exit for Roger is going to be the one that's going to make the race for him, and he exited it tremendous. He has closed a big chunk of time on this lap, and he is in the spot that he needs to be in. He needs to just get right on the back wheel of Tony as they go through turn 6 here. Not overshoot this turn, get into turn 7 clean, and he's got to get out of here perfect to be able to get in that draft, to put himself in a spot at the end of the back straightaway.
Out of turn 7, the most important corner on the racetrack. Here we go. The last time this race, because they got another shot at it later today down the back straightaway. Elias moving back and forth, trying not to create a draft. Roger Hayden, how strong is he on the brakes coming into turn 10? This is the last ditch effort as Elias with his foot out. Hayden not able to close up the gap.
He's got one more spot. He's not quite close enough though, Greg, and I think it's going to take a big mistake from Tony to lose this race now. He's going to run it down underneath this hill tight, and Roger just doesn't have the room to get there.
Rear wheel in the air for Tony Elias under braking. He gets it done, and the dash to the checkered flag, and it's Tony Elias going 3 for 3. Wow, Roger Hayden, 0.3 of a second the difference as we await Jake Gagne, Tony Elias, Yoshimura Suzuki. Thank you so much. Hey, by the way, Tony, welcome to Road Atlanta. Only his 3rd day here. And here, there, oh, and riders off all over the place as it looks like Claudio Corti now.
Wow.
That's incredible.
Jake Gagne must have been having a problem because these guys almost caught him, and Claudio Corti, Josh Heron went wide coming out of the last corner, got out into the gravel. Claudio Corti picks up his first win. We've got 2 Europeans winning races over here now.
Wow, so how about that? Jake Gagne held on to the overall podium by, I don't know, 0.398 of a second, all right? So that's, yeah, just under half a second. So Jake Gagne was able to hold on to 3rd place, but it was Claudio Corti, the 71, the rider out of Italy, who secured 4th overall and #1 in the Superstock 1000 class. But it's this rider that all eyes are on, Tony Elias. As we talked about it, Christy Lee brought us the story down there from Don Sakakura, Yoshimura Suzuki. I guarantee you that in Brea, California right now, all eyes are on Tony Elias, and there is some budget juggling going on. How do we keep this rider here? And you know what? They also have to look at personnel. A lot of personnel, of course, are here in the MotoAmerica series, but there's one key guy that's kind of at home just chilling right now.
There is a couple, but you know what's funny about that is people don't take into consideration the amount of money it really does take to run a 3rd rider. And it's not just the bikes. That's the easy part. It's the crew. It's the people that you need to have manhandling all that stuff. So Tony Elias, what a job.
We're live here on beIN Sports, and we appreciate you watching this coverage of MotoAmerica. That was Superbike race #1. Race #2 coming up later today. Hey, by the way, Tom Houseworth, if you're out there listening, former crew chief for Ben Spies, Suzuki might be calling you, buddy. I think they might need someone else to work with Jake Lewis or Tony Elias right now. So it'll be interesting to see if they try to drag someone like Houseworth out of retirement.
Corti and Elias have had some time together over in Europe, and obviously they're come over to America, and they probably talk to each other a lot, and they just both saw that each other won their respective divisions today, or their respective classes. So, and yeah, I think it's going to be pretty hard now, especially. Could we have written anything off that would have said that Suzuki would have won the first 3 races and dominated the way they have?
Not
actually.
After last season, no way. And it really speaks volumes to the Yoshimura Suzuki crew and to Suzuki for building such a capable motorcycle of riding. You know, what a boost for the Yoshimura Suzuki crew as they go 1-2 as Tony Elias beats his teammate Roger Hayden by 0.343 seconds. Jake Gagne on the Yamaha in 3rd, and then Claudio Corti, Heron, Fong, Knapp, Gillum, and Marias with Wyman rounding out the top 10. This is the time. It's podium celebration time, but they also got to get the bike back to the pits and change everything that they need to change, because there's a race coming up later on today. We're going to take a break here on beIN Sports. When we come back, we're going to see some podium celebrations and talk to the winner as well, so don't go anywhere. Woo! Good race. In the record books, race number 1 of the MotoAmerica Superbike Shootout of Georgia, and Tony Elias wins by 0.343 seconds. Jake Gagne, the first of our Yamahas, and then an Aprilia, the RSV4 RF of Claudio Corti, Superstock. See that in the middle of the graphic. STK indicates that. So it's Corti, Heron, Fong. That's going to be your podium for Superstock. Taylor Knapp in 7th, Hayden Gillum in 8th. And Sheridan Marias in 9th. Jason, we have another race going on here today. And as you can see, Cameron Beaubier out. It looks like the Yamaha crew is going to have a lot of work to do. It's
unreal, yeah. I mean, when you think about what happened in that race, we just don't see Josh Hayes do those kind of things. And it's just a mistake. It's racing. Racing, sometimes this stuff just happens. And there's a, we're going to have to get to the bottom of it and find out exactly what happened over there. It didn't look like Cameron made any big mistakes or anything. Just Josh just put himself in a little bit of a gray area. And but those Yamaha guys are going to have a lot of work to do on the bike and for both bikes. And but what a day for Yoshimura Suzuki.
Let's go down to Christy Lee, who's in winner's circle.
Jake Gagne, number 32, taking 3rd place in Superbike today. You said earlier that you obviously you worked out the bugs. Congrats.
Yeah, we're getting there for sure. We're working out a few little things. We got lucky, those Yamahas I saw sliding off, and that put us up here on the podium. But man, I'll take it. I'm stoked for the Road Race Factory Rebel guys. These guys are working hard. Broaster Chicken, Bell Helmets, Alpine Stars, everybody. These guys are just working their butts off to make it happen. And I'm glad to put it up here on the box for them. And I think we're one step closer, and we'll come out swinging in race 2.
Congrats, Jake.
So Jake Gagne there holding on to that 3rd place finish after some good luck. And you know what? Bad luck for Cameron Beaubier so far this year, and good luck for a rider like Jake Gagne, and that's the difference.
But Gagne is a grinder, and he's won 2 championships the last 2 years with that team. They're going to get their stuff together. And this is the story of the day right here. Just looking at both of these bikes going off on a crash truck is something that I never thought I would actually see. And, it's a shame, but the whole Yamaha team are probably over there dropping spare parts on the ground right now, ready for these bikes to get back over there so that they can get to work. Because like you said, we got 2 hours and we got another race coming up.
Christy Lee with Roger Hayden.
Roger, that was the kind of race that we all come to see. Definitely a difficult race, definitely tight competition. Open window of opportunity, both of the Yamaha guys going down. Tell us about your race.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I had a good start, and then after a couple laps, I got by Tony and just tried to stay with the 2 Yamaha guys and was really waiting for the race to play out. And then, they had an unfortunate situation with Josh running in the back of Cameron. And then I led, and I knew Tony was there the whole time, and tried to get close enough to make a last pass on the last lap, but I just couldn't draft by him. So, it's good for the team. Yoshimura Suzuki 1st and 2nd. That's 3 races in a row, so that's good. But, we need to win one, and, we'll be pushing hard for race 2.
I know you're itching for that win. What can we expect from you in the 2nd race?
More of the same, get a win, but not anything and keep myself up there in the points.
Congrats, Raj.
That's the difference, Greg, huh? We talked to him at COTA.
Yeah.
And you know what? okay, he's unhappy that he's getting beat by
It's
Tony.
in his voice.
You can see it.
You can
tell.
see it in his body language. You can hear it in his voice.
But
he is disappointed.
But it's 20 points in the bank. And with the season being as long as it is, you know, sometimes you've got to be the smartest racer. You always want to be the fastest. But on days like today, days like Dakota, Roger's going to have his time. He's going to have his time. He's going to win some races. And with these two Yamahas having some problems early on in the points right now, those 20 points are big for Raj.
Let's go back down with Christy with our winner.
Tony, you have made a name for yourself within this series within just a few races, coming into this round strong from COTA and keeping that going. Obviously a window of opportunity opened up with the Monster Energy Graves guys going down, but still nonetheless an outstanding race on your part. Congrats.
Yes, I'm sorry for them because they did a great job fighting a lot and we were suffering a little bit, but I'm happy because this is a difficult race for us. I was there. In section 1 I was struggling a lot, but finally in section 2 and section 3 I was really fast. I could catch them a little bit, but every lap I lose 1-2 cents every lap. Finally I give my more than 100% to stay behind Roger. I pass him in the last 3 laps and I push maximum was possible for me. Then yes, it's a great win. Thanks to all my team, all my mechanics, my chief, Suzuki, Yoshimura, everybody who giving me this opportunity, these nice moments. And now it's time to concentrate for the race 2 and try to solve the little problems, the little things for be faster, and I hope be more faster in T1 because this is my problem now.
Congrats, Tony.
We're going to take a break here on BN Sports. Don't go anywhere because we still have more to come right here from Road Atlanta. See you on the other side. The famous S's here at Road Atlanta in Brazelton, Georgia, as we have Superbike and Superstock 1000 race number 1 in the books. A good look at our Dunlop Superbike podium right now. This is the Suzuki Superbike Shootout of Georgia. Round 2 of the MotoAmerica Championship. And in the middle there's Don Sakakura. We heard from him earlier on as Don stands on the podium next to Roger Hayden as the manufacturer that wins in this one. And there's Tony Elias flanked by Roger Hayden as well. And Jake Gagne, the lone Yamaha on the podium. And it's been like this more than once this year, Jason.
I'll tell you, all 3 of our races so far have been incredible this year. And I think it's just going to continue to keep getting better and better. And I think this track is a track where the Superstock bikes got left behind a little bit, but we're going to go to some more. We're going to see some battles like 6 and 7 guys, I think. And, you know, Don's sitting up on the podium now thinking, wow, this just got a lot more complicated for me. And, you know, and Jake Gagne's happy to be up there.
And by the way, the guy handing out the trophies right there is Pat Alexander from Suzuki. And I guarantee you that Pat, Don, and Tony Elias have been in conversation so far this week.
Yeah, and of course, with the event being sponsored by Suzuki also, so far it's a bit of a dream, but there's going to be some blue bikes in that next race. They're going to come out, and we'll see what those guys have to say about it.
Yeah, you'd be hard-pressed to think that another mistake is going to be made by the 2 Yamaha riders together, that is in the books. I'll tell you what, good look at Jake Gagne from Southern California. And Jake, who is motocross roots, likes to surf. Really good dude, just loves being a San Diego guy, and that long hair really suits him.
Yeah, and he struggled, like we talked about earlier in the telecast. He struggled so hard this week. I mean, I saw him back in 15th place in a couple of things, in a couple of the sessions early on, and I went out there and saw a bike moving around a lot. Just didn't look comfortable on the thing, and so for him to get back to where he is today to get that third, that's just an added bonus.
Started with a miscue at COTA where the team changed his shock right before race number 2, and that shock was actually broken, and he could barely hold on to the motorcycle, and now they bounce back, and with some luck, Jake Gagne able to stand in position number 3 on that podium. As you take a good look at Roger Hayden now having to explain to all the fans here, the hundreds of fans that are standing in front of that podium, he's got to explain to them exactly what happened in his race. Congratulations on second place to Roger Hayden, but Tony Elias doing the job. Let's take a look at the race highlights and see how it all unfolded. You can see the wind blowing here in Georgia, and off the start, it looked like Josh Hayes might have it on the 4, but it was Tony Elias leading the way.
Yeah, as they went up to the top of the hill here, Josh put himself into second place, and so quickly we saw this battle between the 4 bikes, the 2 Yamahas, the 2 Yoshimura Suzukis, and this battle between the 2 teammates as Cameron Beaubier took the lead away from Josh, and this pattern went on for about 6-7 laps until this little incident here. We will get to the bottom and find out exactly what happened, because this is the kind of mistake you don't see from a 4-time Superbike champion. Both these guys going down, both Yoshimura guys thinking, well, Christmas came early.
Yeah, they had to check up. Tony Elias doing a good job of avoiding that incident. And then Roger Hayden, he took the point early on, but it was Tony Elias that was so strong into the braking section, turn 10 down the hill. He was able to control his GSXR 1000 and take the lead. Then there was this battle in Superstock 1000. 2 Heron, number 71, Claudio Corti, number 50, Bobby Fong, and 44, Taylor Knapp. They went at it all race long.
All right, long. I mean, these things you see here in the background is Tony Elias now comes across the line for a big win, but that Superstock battle went all the way to the finish.
It went all the way to the finish, and mere tenths and hundredths of a second separating those top 3. But Tony Elias had a comfortable 0.3 of a second victory over his teammate Roger Hayden, with another 25 seconds back, coming 3rd place, Jake Gagne. So congratulations to the Yoshimura Suzuki crew, going 1-2 again here in Atlanta. Hey, back in the day when it was 4 Yosh factory Suzukis, they would finish 1-2-3 here at Road Atlanta.
Well, there was a lot of 1-2 punch in the early 2000s too, with Matt Millett and Ben Spies, and it wasn't always that way. It was, you know, Ben, again, a lot of championships for Yoshimura Suzuki, Matt, a lot of championships for Yoshimura Suzuki, so who knows? These guys are well on their way this year between the 2 teammates.
So podium celebrations happen. They can't do too much celebrating, Jason. No champagne in the mouth, because it's just a couple hours time. They got to get right back out and do it again. How physically demanding is it to do 2 22-lap Superbike races in one day?
It's got to be demanding. You know, being around this track and understanding how physical it is, especially through all those S sections, and not only that, they're fast. The fast S sections are a lot of the places around this track, and it's, like I said, a lot of demand being that it's going up and downhill and so on. So these guys are going to go back, get massages, maybe get rest, get some lunch, and get relaxed for that next event.
Champagne spray, Dunlop hats on, a smile from Tony Elias. Later on today, starting at 4:30 p.m. East, we're going to have more coverage of the MotoAmerica Series. That's going to begin a 2.5-hour block. That's going to include Super Sport and Superstock 600. Same type of situation with smaller motorcycles. 2 races going on inside the race, and we'll have Superbike race number 2 in addition to our added coverage. So, race 1 of the Superbike Championship and Superstock 1000 Championship, round 2 from Road Atlanta, is done and dusted as Tony Elias on the 24 leads Roger Hayden in victory in what looked to be an early disaster for the Monster Energy Graves Yamaha team of Cameron Beaubier and Josh Hayes. The Yoshimura Suzuki riders able to mop up and take the victory. Tony Elias, Roger Hayden, Jake Gagne, Claudio Corti, Josh Heron, and Bobby Fong. 2 podiums, 2 championships. Join us again at 4:30. There's more great action.